Hello clanmates, I'm Kinglink and I'm here to review Northgard. So just to be super clear about this, when I use the word clan in this review, I'm spelling it C-L-A-N. I mean like family or group in this terminology. Just want to be clear about this because this is going out in 2019 and of course there's another meaning of the word clan, but just to be clear again, the game uses the positive one. Now this is the beginning of our humble monthly bundle reviews. This month we have Northgard, Mutant Year Zero Road to Eden, and Absolver. So let's tackle the first game now. Northgard is a rather interesting game to talk about. To start with, I have some of my gameplay of my first single player game after finishing the story on the screen. You'll watch as I play through and it's, rather nice to watch. Graphically though, it's a bit limited. Characters are detailed, but they're so small you probably wouldn't realize it most of the time. The environment works well for what it's attempting, but it doesn't really fill me with excitement to see it after I've seen each place once. In addition, the characters kind of blend together. I don't think there's any direct head-to-head conflict in the video, but unless you look closely, your troops and other troops from different clans blend together, which only a little bit of color to distinguish them. It's not awful, it's just that most of your units blend in as you see from my gameplay. Now the story of Northgard is a bit bland. It starts off with this big moment of your clan being attacked and your father, the king of all the clans, slain. From there, your character Rig survives the attack and vows revenge. It's not a unique story, but it could have been serviceable. The problem is the game doesn't do that much with it. It just becomes the setup for a series of tutorial missions. While later missions do become more combat heavy and just kind of a normal game, it's still teaching you how to play the game at a larger and larger scale. The story doesn't really matter too much in the long run though, and it's a shame because it's tapping into a very interesting lore and mythology, the Norse mythology of course, but it doesn't spend the time to really make it interesting. There's just like a Jotun giant there, the word Ragnarok here, Bifrost. It's a little sad that I can say that the movie Thor about the Marvel superhero did more with the lore than this game has. The gameplay though is what Northgard is really going to be about. The game starts with choosing a clan and then giving the player a clan hall and 4 followers. From there the player is supposed to expand, though in the story mode sometimes the clans are chosen for you. At the beginning of the new game, you can build just a house, a scout camp, and a woodcutter's lodge. The house is there just to give you more unit count, the scout camp allows you to explore new areas, and the woodcutter's lodge is about gathering wood. You can colonize new areas, and there's limitations in how much you can build in a single area. All of this seems to work well to start the game. From there, you'll quickly open up to about 20 different buildings your clan can build, with some of them including unique clan buildings. Each building has a purpose, such as getting money from a marketplace, improving food gathering from the fields, fisherman huts, or even hunter's lodge. Each building also needs to be staffed with workers, so workers will be placed in them and change their jobs. Anyone unassigned will mostly just gather food when not doing something else. I saw this game and instantly I thought about Warcraft, and I still think about that, but Warcraft is much more focused on, well, the craft of war, of course, thus the name. I have heard people talking about this game and the game's Settlers, and maybe, but I'll admit again, I have not played Settlers, so I'm not sure exactly. But this does remind me of a style of Euroboard game called worker placement. You have a set number of workers, though can build more over time, and from there you assign them to different jobs. They each bring in resources after each tick, and you'll keep building until you get a victory condition. That's really what Northgard is at its heart. The one problem with Northgard is that this is a real-time strategy game, but there's not a lot to do every moment. There's no fast forward button, sadly, and you can only pause and play at 1x speed. For the first couple missions, there's tons to do, but over time, especially once the mission starts taking between 50 to 60 minutes, there's a lot of downtime, and you're forced to wait while the resources are collected. If you really want, you can dive into the combat of the game, but there's limited uses to this. And I say want, but eventually you're going to have to deal with combat. Players are able to build up their war bands, the military, by hiring warriors, axe throwers, and shield bearers. These 3 units have a rock, scissors, paper triangle going on. I'm not a fan of the combat here. It's hard to use properly and also a bit too easy to cheat. Perhaps that's intentional, but it doesn't make me love the game anymore. When the player targets a location, the group will attack as fast as possible rather than taking any smart formation. Players can lay out their warband as they want, but it's an annoying step that feels overdone. Sadly, this means if you have a weak specialty unit, they actually can get chomped pretty quickly. But my problem with combat isn't that. It's that it's a little bit too easy to gimmick. Any unit in combat has very simple AI. They'll attack their target until it dies or moves. A simple trick is to let your soldiers tank a few hits and move them slightly, then rejoin the fight. The enemy will target another random unit, which you can then do this again and again. There's a lot of other small tricks you can use to fool the AI, and while players can give a direct kill order, actually the AI can get killed because they're kited around the area by another character if someone just isn't paying attention. Overall though, this is not a satisfying situation. You can easily take land from neutral units, and that's good, but clan vs clan battles are a bit of a pain in the, well, you know what. Defenders have bonuses, defensive towers, and more, so attacking them sometimes is hard. There are a number of victories in Northgard as well, which really reminds me of the Euro Games as well. There's the typical ones like domination or just gathering all the knowledge, called lore here, as well as a fame-based victory, trading victories, and a unique victory on each map, at least most of them. All of this is fine, but there's a lot of variables about who can win and what players have to do to keep track of it. The good news is that the players can track other clans' progress on a special screen, but most of these victories can't be tampered with. If someone is 99% of the way to a knowledge victory, another player can only slow it down fractionally, but not actually stop it. Consider civilization, and players can destroy the rocket launcher pad or sabotage them with spies to end their knowledge victory. Those options aren't here. Similarly, fame and trade are also unable to be sabotaged well. Overall I don't hate Northgard. It's not a bad game, though I would have preferred the developers to have either decided to go with no combat at all, or a heavy focus on combat. But it stands in the middle of the road, and the combat in this game is unappetizing. But at the same time, I don't really like Northgard. But there's nothing wrong with Northgard itself. It's just not my favorite game. And admittedly, I think it's aimed for more online play than anything else, which isn't where I like to spend my RTS time. The single player mode won't keep players entertained for long, but the gameplay is still enjoyable, and I think there's enough nuance here for players who want to dig down and try to find it. I give Northgard a 3.5 out of 5. I know I don't like Northgard, so I struggled with this one. I probably just want a different game, but if the game on the screen right now does appeal to you, I think I could recommend it. It's going for cheap right now in Humble Monthly Bundle, but even without that, there is a good community around it as well, so if you want to dive in, you'll find some good depth. That's Northgard, and continuing on with the Humble Monthly Bundle, we'll do Mutant Year Zero next. It's kind of like XCOM, but also very different. Stick around for that one. And if you've enjoyed this video, consider subscribing and joining the Hyrulean Knights. We're still working our way up to 300 subscribers, and I welcome you to it. As always, if you want to find my content, ring that bell. Your clan master commands it. God damn, that sounds super racist. Until next time, I'm Kinglink, and thank you for watching.